Deep in the heart of Bordeaux lies France's latest weapon against aging. Set amid acres of vineyards, people come to this institute for a cure known as vinotherapy. Guests from around the world come to this beautiful and elegant location in search of the youth-containing properties of the grape. Treatments like the crushed Cabernet scrub are meant to slew away dead skin and detoxify the body. The French swear by the health benefits of drinking wine, and now they're turning to grapes again, but this time to fight wrinkles and boost circulation. The key to vinotherapy is polyphenols, the same ingredient that makes red wine healthy, according to the director Delphine Defoy. Free radical damage to the skin comes from things like sun exposure, smoking, or pollution. A mask with grapeseed extract is supposed to be an antioxidant to fight wrinkles and help the cells regenerate. In a treatment called pulp friction, fresh grapes mixed with essential oils are massaged into the skin. Other options are the Sauvignon massage or the Merlot wrap. The centre says the grapeseed extracts used in all the treatments are 1,000 times more powerful than vitamin E in fighting free radicals, and that vinotherapy improves circulation by strengthening blood vessels. Everything at the centre has something to do with grapes. They even offer wine treatments to go, with a variety of grape-based products for sale. Guests come for long or short visits, to detox or just be pampered. It is so popular, they have opened a vinotherapy centre in Paris, and there are plans to open one in California's wine country. London dermatologist Dr. Nicholas Lowe says the most important thing to fight aging is daily sunscreen use, but he said fighting free radicals was important, adding that there are many products now available, and vinotherapy is one of them. Back in Bordeaux, one of the most popular treatments is the wine barrel bath, a bubbling vat of warm, iron-rich water, grapeseed extracts, and oils. If grapes really are anti-aging, then what better way to soak away the years? A pillar at the Artemis Temple in the historical city of Jerash vibrates like the string of a musical instrument. It's become a tourist attraction with its amazing movement and ability to withstand the earthquakes and tremors that have swept the region since it was constructed. This was at the height of the Roman Empire over 2,000 years ago. Among the mountains of Gilad, a 45-minute drive north of Amman, Jordan, lie the ruins of Jerash, one of the most complete examples of a Roman city to be seen anywhere.
It's like a pendulum, it's a vertical pendulum.
If you look at this ruler right here, and you try to concentrate, actually it's quite windy, but if you concentrate, you can see it going up and down. Yeah. Can you see it? Yeah. My finger, it's going up and down.
The Artemis Temple, which was built on one of the highest points and dominated the whole city, is still one of the most impressive buildings left. Its beautiful columns of the portico can be seen from almost any part of the ruins. One of the pillars at Artemis Temple vibrates like the string of a musical instrument and has become an attraction in its own right for tourists visiting the Roman city. The pillar vibrates substantially more than any of the others, and by placing a coin or a key at the joint where its base meets the rest of the temple structure, it can be seen moving with the naked eye. The pillar, weighing 50 metric tons, has preserved a resonance in harmony with the daily breeze for about 2,000 years. Excavations show the temple had no roofing material, strongly indicating its construction was probably never finished. This means that its pillars were left free without the upper connections since they were built. Despite having a hinge-like base similar to that of an elbow or knee joint, the pillar has managed to stay upright. Even after numerous earthquakes that have shifted the drums of the pillar out of alignment, the pillar remains in perfect equilibrium as a vertical pendulum. It oscillates as cylinders do when placed in air or water current, according to the phenomena called drift, which applies to all tall structures. For half a century, Akira Tomizawa, 72, has been working on an invention which he believes will revolutionize marine travel. He is convinced that fish power can do the job better than a conventional motor or propeller. Instead of rotating propellers, Tomizawa has a large grey fish modelled after a tuna under his boat. The fish swims, powered by a motor, and this pushes the boat along. Tomizawa started researching his fish boat idea when he was 20 years old. He bought himself an 8mm movie camera and shot hours of footage of swimming fish from all sorts of different angles to figure out how they can swim so deftly. He then got to work drawing up the blueprints for his fish-shaped motor, choosing a tuna as a model because tunas are capable of swimming at speeds of up to 160 kilometers per hour. Experiments in the local swimming pool and in the quiet waters of the sea near Yazoo in central Japan have proved that Tomizawa's fish boat can travel up to 2.4 kilometers per hour. He would like to use the fish motor to enable a real boat to travel at speeds of 100 to 200 kilometers per hour, much like a bullet train. Over the decades, Tomizawa has put up with the skeptical remarks of curious onlookers and scientists. But he says success is near and is undaunted by his earlier failures. The septuagenarian now spends his days modifying parts and thinking of ways to improve performance. And even water dynamic experts are beginning to notice. "12 muscle-bound oxen and their jockeys took to the racecourse to run for fame, glory, and a bale of hay." The annual ox race in the Bavarian town of Karlsfeld near Munich went off without a hitch recently, to the amusement of thousands of onlookers who came to watch the thrills and spills of near-professional ox racing. Just like human athletes, the oxen too demand a personal touch, the right nutrition, hard training, and also the psychological preparation is important before a big race. The oxen are ridden without a saddle, only a strap for the riders to hold themselves onto the backs of their mounts. The goal is to ride the usually unruly bovine racing machines down an approximately 200-meter long course. Each team is allowed a driver who runs behind the ox, directing it toward the finish. Sometimes they're also required to give a little assistance for a reluctant racer. Those who are lucky and strong enough to hang on to their mounts and who are able to steer them to the finish line with or without a trip into the lake has a good chance of winning the trophy. For Joanna Ankner and her ox Gustal, all that hard training on the fields at home finally paid off. Ankner and Gustal had a tactical advantage over her fellow competitors on the soft and wet course. Less weight. After the race, the oxen were rewarded with fresh hay as riders, drivers and spectators gathered in the beer tent to celebrate. Finally, there is a use for those normally discarded wine corks. An unusual boat made out of 160,000 corks has completed a 17-day voyage down the Douro, one of Portugal's most famous rivers, with its US builders tired but exultant. John Pollock, the initiator of the trip, said he had expected the 265-kilometre trip down the river to take a week. Instead, Pollock and a crew of family and friends needed 17 days of almost constantly rowing the 1,600k boat against headwinds on the slow-moving river. The Douro runs through the heart of northern Portugal's famed port wine industry. Pollock, who had collected about 70,000 corks over 30 years to help build the vessel, scrounging many from Washington bars and restaurants. He said he was thrilled that his lifelong dream had come true. Designed by apprentice Washington architect Garth Goldstein, the 7-metre-long boat is made of wine corks banded together into slabs and then lashed onto logs with fishnet and cord. He and Pollock have said they believe the boat to be the first built entirely of corks. The vessel has a 2-metre-high bow like a Viking ship, a V-shaped stern, wooden decking and a mast. It also has 2 pairs of oars. Pollock added that he plans to write a book about the boat. The crew thanked the people who helped them on their journey. A cork distributor, Cork Supply USA, furnished enough corks to complete the boat and helped ship it from the United States. The boat will remain with the company in Portugal, which is the world's biggest producer of cork. One Japanese toy maker has come up with a gadget that can tell whether your pet is barking mad or simply barking because it's mad. If you've ever wondered what is on the mind of your precious pet dog, wonder no longer. The toy manufacturer has come up with what it has called the Bowlingual, or the world's first computerized translator of the canine language. It doesn't really interpret words or phrases as far as we know, because dogs are no grammaticians and have no language per se. But this new toy from the land of the gadget senses the dog's emotion through a voice print or the timbre of its bark and whines. Through a microphone attached to the dog's collar, the pet's emotional state is deciphered, and that information is sent via infrared beam to the owner's canine emotion pager, translating the voices into different emotions. So far, they have identified 6 different basic emotions in dogs: frustration, anger, relaxation, happiness, sadness, and a feeling of accomplishment. Although the question of whether dog owners really need a machine to understand these feelings may be a moot point, the manufacturers of the gadget feel it could be a new beginning in communication between other species. Tiddlywinks has been played for over 100 years. However, it has become a serious adult game since it was developed into a competition by a group of Cambridge undergraduates in the 1950s. The game is played on a rectangular mat with 6 plastic discs called winks, 2 being 22mm in diameter, 4 16mm in diameter. A disc called a squidger is used to play the winks. The aim of the game is to secure the highest number of points, or tiddlies. Players take it in turns to take shots at the pot, earning an extra go if they succeed in potting their wink. If any wink is covered by another, the lower wink is said to be squapped and cannot be played. Hence, players can play tactically by capturing and guarding their opponent's winks. Pairs matches last for 25 minutes each game, after which each colour has a further 5 rounds. The World Pairs Tiddlywinks Championships is played over 7 games at Queen's College, Cambridge. Roll up, roll up! New York's Coney Island Fun Fair is looking for students to enroll in the new Freak Show School. Wannabe freaks can fulfill their lifelong dreams and learn the tricks of the trade for fire eating and sword swallowing. In a way, it's just like any other school. There's a dean, several teachers, practical lessons, and plenty of homework. But Coney Island's new Freak Show School is a little more dangerous than your average class. Students learn to eat fire without burning their mouths, swallow swords without slicing open their throats, and bang nails into their noses without damaging their nostrils. All in all, it's pretty dangerous work, but so far there have only been minor mishaps, a few singed lips and sore noses. Students pay $600 for a 6-day course, the only requirement that you sign away any rights to sue for damages. Whereas most people are warned never to try dangerous stunts at home, this small group of students are actively encouraged to practice banging various metal objects into their faces. Fred Carl, also known as the human blockhead, teaches these wannabe freaks how to hammer 6-inch nails up their noses. He tells his pupils it's all about practice, 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 forcing your body to ignore the powerful self-preservation instinct and stifle the gag reflex. The trick to successfully banging a nail up your nose? Carefully. You basically have to look for the passageway which goes straight back to the top of the throat. For 40-year-old webpage designer Alan Elsner, transforming himself into the human blockhead has fulfilled a lifelong dream and, of course, provided him with a useful party trick. The grand finale, and perhaps the most impressive trick, is sword swallowing. Unfortunately, though, for the freshman students, there is no trick to swallowing 2 feet of solid, not to mention sharp steel. This act proved a little too difficult on just a few days' training.
Hey, how about a hand for my assistant?
These classes may look like a lot of clowning around, but the Freak School warns that anyone who hasn't attended to definitely not try these tricks at home.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
If you need a car that will do something a little different, just customize it. Plenty of home mechanics like to customize their cars for fun. But viewers across North America are being exposed to a new level of extreme auto modification thanks to a TV series called Monster Garage. Each episode showcases a car or truck that is transformed into some type of bizarre contraption. They have shown the metamorphosis from sport utility vehicle to garbage truck, from VW Beetle to swamp buggy. The driving force behind Monster Garage is a 33-year-old master mechanic named Jesse James, who has been designing custom equipment virtually all his life. Now, James leads a team of California-based designers and craftsmen who must complete each transformation in less than a week. Construction specialist Wendy Schmidt is a key member of this episode's production team. She's the lone woman in a crew of men, a role she knows well. Her interest in building and fixing things has since burgeoned into a career as a designer of animatronic robots for the motion picture industry. Colleagues especially appreciate her welding skills, acquired through years of practice that are much in demand on the set of Monster Garage. A little check to make sure all is well, and then out for the final test.
That's 3, dude. Okay, these are gonna have to be refilled, so. Okay.
Coming down. Good. There we go. Very nice.
And after all the effort, will it work?
Yeah!
Yes. Good old-fashioned leg power has brought television to the main square in Shimbashi. The big screens were banned from showing World Cup events, but that did not stop this energetic group of volunteers from trying to recreate some of the atmosphere of the big screen venues. With no PowerPoints in the main square in Shimbashi, volunteers have to contribute their own sweat to bring the games live to an eager public. A dynamo attached to a bicycle powers the television in a scene that seems very out of place in one of the world's most high-tech countries. The crowd groans impatiently as the television goes off when one volunteer tires and needs to be replaced by another. They cheer happily as the screen flickers back to life and shout words of encouragement to the hard-pedaling cyclist. But the effort does take its toll. Several courageous groups began the new year by taking the polar bear plunge, a bone-chilling dip into frigid waters across the United States. It's a New Year's Day tradition unlike any other, the polar bear swim. Groups all around the United States took their ritualistic plunges. They braved cold, windy beaches that are better suited for warm weather. In Wisconsin, the temperature in Milwaukee was well below freezing, but that didn't stop hundreds of people from meeting at Bradford Beach and running into Lake Michigan. As quickly as some hopped over the ice to enter the water, they raced back out to find their towels, robes, and space heaters. In Jamestown, Rhode Island, dozens of people sprinted penguin style into Mackerel Cove. There are at least 3 similar events in Rhode Island alone, where temperatures were around the freezing mark. In Wayzata, Minnesota, the temperatures didn't climb out of the teens. The event there is called the On It and In It, because participants were supposed to jump on the ice and then into the lake. So with a small swimming area cut through the ice, groups took turns in the ice bath. Many of these hearty souls were completely submerged in the bone-chilling waters. Finally, a similar scene took place in Jacksonport, Wisconsin, where cold temperatures laid the groundwork for a successful polar bear plunge. Sure, some of the participants got in and out in a hurry, but can you really blame them? Nevermore a mere green garnish, the humble Russian cucumber has at long last had its day. Thousands of people have gathered in the ancient city of Zuzdal to pay homage at an international festival to their beloved food staple and regional culinary delicacy. The cucumber has taken center stage in Zuzdal, a small town outside of Moscow, which has been known for its rich cucumber crops for over 300 years. The vegetable-loving citizens spread their tables with cucumber salad, cucumber sandwiches, pickled cucumbers, cucumber sculptures, and cucumber juice. They sang folk songs about cucumbers naturally and dressed up in honor of their cash crop. The cucumber is believed to have made its way into Russia from Asia in the 10th century and has become a part of Russian tradition, merging with other parts of Russian lore. And they go down well with vodka. Russians and foreign guests gave honor to the cucumber and proved right the old Russian saying, wherever there are cucumbers, drunks are sure to be. But even with the vodka and the tongue-in-cheek approach, the citizens were serious about honouring the cucumber. Zuzdal has long based much of its economy on the cucumber through imperial and Soviet times. In post-Soviet economic collapse, the cucumber is even more important as an abundant cash crop. A large percentage of rural Russians depend on their kitchen gardens to feed themselves and to earn money to meet expenses. Cucumber gardens do literally surround Zuzdal, as people from all walks of life grow them for food and profit, part of a large barter economy in rural Russia, where people have fended for themselves and turned back to a self-subsistence economy.
Что? Какой тип? Это огурец. Огурец. Элита. Элита. Вот видите, клюют. Видите, как клюют огурцы. Смотрите, как птички клюют.
The hard times have only fortified Russian tradition and perhaps have made self-reliant citizens of Zuzdal even more appreciative of their green hero.
Огурцы мы поливай, звонко
Everyone praises our wonderful cucumbers, goes the folk song. And for at least one day, they do. For years, people have been getting around in cars, boats and planes, but now a new mode of transport is coming, the one-man airboard. Built by an Australian inventor after his son asked for a hovering skateboard, the airboard has finally made it off the drawing board and into reality. It's now arrived in Europe, and Airboard Europe Limited are keen to make it available to as wide an audience as possible. The board itself is fairly simple to operate. Armed with only an accelerator, most people will get to grips with it within minutes. Steering depends on the weight transfer of the rider, and braking is a matter of easing off the accelerator or transferring your weight again. At a cost of £17,000, most people won't be able to buy one and take it home, but Airboard Europe will be travelling the country selling the airboard experience to anyone who fancies a go. After only a few minutes instruction and no previous experience, Polly soon learned how to ride the airboard and was speeding over the tarmac outside the Liverpool South Hilton. After 15 minutes, she had even mastered the tricks of 360-degree spins and sharp 90-degree turns. The airboard runs on a 9-horsepower 4-stroke petrol engine, and with a full tank of 5 litres will run for up to an hour. This board has a top speed of 20 miles per hour and was designed for tarmac. But other modified boards are in the pipeline that could be used on water, ice or snow and have a top speed of up to 45 miles per hour. There will also be a scaled-down children's version. David Needham, Director of Airboard Europe, has had plenty of practice over the last few months and showed off his tricks after explaining how he hopes airboarding could soon become an extreme sport. Airboarding, he explained, is a mixture of extreme sports all rolled into one. A man in Thailand has come up with a cheap and environmentally friendly way to avoid the Bangkok traffic, which is reportedly among the worst in the region. He's made his very own water bike and hopes the idea will catch on with locals who are sick of crowded slow boats and traffic jams. Bicycles are one of the most popular means of transport in Asia, but in places like Bangkok, bike riders have to fight traffic jams and fumes to get to their destination. Even catching a boat down the main river in the Thai capital can be a stressful exercise, as vessels often run late and are overcrowded. But one inventor in Bangkok has come up with the solution: a water bike. It's your average bike, mounted on 2 pontoons attached to a propeller. There's no engine, it's run by pedal power, and that can mean a lot of work if you take it out into a big river. The man who came up with the idea, Pravit Yongvanich, says it's a cheap and environmentally friendly alternative to traditional transport around the sprawling city. And he says it's also a great workout. It took 3 months to come up with the concept. Pravit's friend helped build the machine, and after some trial and error, they were able to make it work. The water bike costs about $71 to build and comes apart easily when you need to transport it. Pravit says he would like to mass produce his invention and believes people in rural areas would definitely get good use out of it. He also says he's looking to sell the idea to other countries in Asia and maybe even the United States. But the crazy creations don't stop at the water bike. The next thing on Private agenda is a sail bike. Meanwhile, the crowd will just have to make do with the water bike. Tasty food, pleasant company, and good conversation are the usual ingredients of dining out in most cities. But things can be a little different in Moscow, where a restaurant has found an unusual way of attracting customers, hosting cockfighting nights as part of the entertainment for its diners. Moscow's White Son of the Desert restaurant is famed for its good Bizzare cuisine in traditional surroundings. And in the summer months, diners can enjoy a meal and relax in the leafy courtyard of the restaurant. But avoid the place on a Monday evening if you're a little faint-hearted or you plan to treat a friend who just happens to be an animal rights campaigner. The restaurant's management have hit on the idea of staging cockfights once a week on a Monday as the evening's main entertainment. Diners at the restaurant looked on as two cocks pecked and scratched each other in an especially constructed ring. A member of the restaurant staff, dressed in traditional Uzbek costume, gave a running fight commentary. The restaurant says the birds are not harmed by the fight. On this particular night, customers were camera shy and didn't want to comment on the cockfighting entertainment. Most of them didn't look as if they were particularly interested in or enjoying the spectacle put on for them. The restaurant management don't expect a boom in business on cockfighting nights, but says it's an Uzbek establishment, and cockfighting is an Uzbek tradition. They are the kind of creatures most of us go out of our way to avoid. But in Thailand, a woman has spent 32 days locked inside a room full of deadly scorpions. It started with a little bit of a scorpion dance. And then a slight adjustment of her companions to a more comfortable place to allow a checkup by the doctor. After being found fit and well and with a few words to the press, she entered her creepy, crawly room. Inside the four walls of her temporary home, she has equipped herself with a television, some books, and a bed full of scorpions. There are 3,000 of them keeping her company. Kenchana Katkyu was starting an attempt to break the record for living with scorpions in the coastal town of Pattaya. But Kenchana is not new to the animal. She has been dubbed Thailand's Scorpion Queen after performing with scorpions and centipedes for more than 6 years. She has been stung many times and says she has built up an immunity to the potentially lethal creature's venom. Like vodka and tonic, or strawberries and cream, some things naturally go together. But karaoke and cycling? This unlikely pairing might be poised to become the latest fitness craze to hit the health club circuit. The vocal cords as well as the glutes get a thorough workout to the strains of crowd-pleasing classics like Billie Jean and Fame. Cycling is an exercise that is good for the lower body as well as the cardiovascular system. Karaoke singing is good for the vocal cords and can be a very humbling experience. The research division at Crunch Fitness has concocted a new fitness regime that combines cycling and karaoke that is naturally called Cycle Karaoke. Participants get started by helping the instructor pick out their favourite dance, disco or Motown tune. The microphone then makes its way around the room until someone with a big enough ego rises to the challenge and belts out the popular tune. For some reason, the most musically challenged are the first to volunteer. Despite the fun and games, it is a serious workout. Laurie Benson, the instructor for Crunch's New York class, said that the karaoke element gives a spinning class a little extra zest. Each class features 6 songs that are probably standards on any karaoke circuit. In between the karaoke numbers, the instructor leads the group through a serious spinning workout. Those that take part in this physical and vocal extravaganza say they thoroughly enjoy the mix of song and sweat. Benson says singing is not mandatory and the bashful types can gracefully bow out. But even if singing is not your forte, karaoke is a testament to the universal appeal of having a good chuckle at someone else's expense. In the Cycle Karaoke class, they just add a new spin to it. A South Korean company is hoping a newly developed self-cooling can will help quench the thirsts of visitors and tourists alike. Open a can and wait for just 15 seconds. And presto! You can drink cool beverages without any help from refrigerators. Inventor Soo Won-gil says the cans are the first to cool drinks within seconds after being opened. The can contains a tiny steel tank with a refrigerant and a piped aluminium coil which releases gas generated from the tank to the outside when opened. Sue says the technology is cost-effective, just 8 US cents per can, just 1 cent more than common aluminium cans. He also claims the can is friendly to the environment and safe for consumers because it uses a harmless coolant. The technology, which works with all beverages, including beer, can also be used for bottled drinks. Now, Sue is talking to South Korea's top drink makers like Lotte Chilsang and PepsiCo products, and a steel firm hoping to market his Ice Tech cans. Lotte Chilsang, which commands about 40% of South Korea's soft drinks market and distributes PepsiCo products, says it is reviewing a plan to use Sue's invention. Retailers say they would welcome the product.
Welcome to the Ivor Spencer International School for Butlers.
At the prestigious address of 51 Buckingham Gate, just around the corner from the Queen's residence, Ivor Spencer continues, as he has for the last 21 years, to keep a great British tradition alive: the butler. Being a butler may be considered quintessentially British, but judging by the vast array of nationalities at the Ivor Spencer International School for Butler Administrators, Personal Assistants and Estate Managers, it is actually a very multicultural profession. Ashley takes students through a rigorous 6-week course in which they are taught all the important aspects of the job. And there are many tasks when you consider that you are often working for people with very little time on their hands. With those high standards, a butler beginning their career can expect a starting salary of £25,000, rising to around £100,000 with valuable experience. Wages also include accommodation, use of a car, food and travelling expenses. Unlike times gone by when butlers were notoriously underpaid, today's butler can expect to retire with a decent amount of savings. In particular, those that have gone on to do service work for generous and wealthy employers all over the world, including royalty living in large palaces.
Table in a private home. Everyone happy with that? I'm now going to ask you...
But Powell believes rewards will only come to those butlers that possess the right attitude and devotion to the job.
Anna, what is that for? Good. So I will assume a title, and I would like you to greet me with a deep bow with that particular title.
It is possible that the increase in financial reward reflects the increase of responsibilities for the modern butler. Nowadays, they are very much expected to run the house for their employer. For this reason, Ivor Spencer teaches more than just etiquette.
Okay, if you'd like to carry on, please. Okay, now I'm going to stop you.
Zhang, one of 2 women training in a profession that was until recent times the sole preserve of men, hopes to become a domestic business administrator back home in the Far East.
Like that.
While there are limits to a butler's servitude, the basic ethos of butlering remains the same as it has been through the years. It is something that Powell is trying to instill in the current crop of would-be butlers.
Thank you. Okay, let's just straighten up a little bit. That's good.
In the age of the CD, one Brazilian man has continued to make vinyl records. Ricardo Crevo Albin's passion for vinyl records began in his teens when he started to collect 78s. When LPs arrived, it began an obsession that would possess him for more than 50 years. In 1994, Brazil was the #1 producer and consumer of vinyl records in the world. But in less than 10 years, the popularity of vinyl records was replaced by the ubiquitous compact disc. All that is left of the Brazilian vinyl record industry is Nilton Pereira's factory in Norte Fluminense, Brazil. His records are exclusively made by hand, one by one. The process begins with the recording of the grooves in the album, after which they are bathed in silver. Side A and Side B are then pressed, and the process is finalized with the stamping of the borders with acetate. The Pereira factory receives on average 6,000 LP requests per month from customers who are few but faithful. For many disc jockeys, especially specialists in hip-hop, vinyls are a vital part of their work. Although records are more effort, the CD is more limited when used this way. For many DJs, vinyl should never end.